So this is going to be part two because the camera shut off. So I was talking about without electricity in the south we'll cook. In the north people will freeze. We'll have to learn how to live without that, and that's a tough thing to do. Cooking without electricity, if you have an electric cooktop like we have or an oven, that's a problem. We don't have the ability to bake anything right now because we don't have a wood fire or that kind of oven. So in 1 second after, it was a small town, not city, town, like maybe 10 or 15,000, and then that depicts an EMP going off, and they went off in several places in the world. So they went from electricity 1 second to none. That caused food to go bad, so they cooked a lot of food and they ate a lot of food. But within about a month, they were running low. They had ranchers and farmers who were allowing their stock to be butchered and killed. But people think a 1,500-pound cow will feed a lot of people, and it will. But when you got 12,000 miles to feed, a cow ain't going to feed everybody. Neither will a pig. So, and then there's also, if you don't have a butcher available, someone who knows how to cut up an animal, or how to properly process it, and then, how do you do that? So, I was on NGH's Northern Girl Hobbies live stream New Year's Eve and talked to some dudes that were really cool. I want to say one of the guys' name was Thor, and another guy. They're both in Canada. That they're actually doing some really cool homesteading stuff. And I think if things go the wrong way, if things happen that I'm worried about, then your ability to have your own meat source, your own protein source, is going to be a big deal. Your ability to grow some of your own crops is going to be a big deal. Security is going to be a big deal. Even and both the things that I talked about, America Falls series, which was instigated by a Chinese invasion and a biological weapon released on the world. Right away, it's easy to find candy bars and stuff like that, and gas stations and places like that, and it depicted young people because it killed everybody basically 17 and older. So the stories about young people surviving, and then some token grown-ups that, for whatever reason, the virus that they released did not kill. But basically, that virus killed a lot of older people, basically 17 and up, something made up about some gene and whatever. But security is an issue because not everybody you're going to meet during a true SHFTF shit hits the van event is going to be someone that you're going to want to be around, or someone you can trust. So, and I will tell you that when you're hungry, you can smell food from a long ways. If you're cooking with wood, you can smell smoke from your fire from a really long ways. And if you're like me, I live outside the city limits of San Antonio by 6.5 miles. I live close to a lake, so I would have water source, but I would not be able to defend my property against probably a group of 20 or more. And then the cities will be hugely impacted. I went grocery shopping today. I wasn't planning on it, and then my wife made a suggestion for supper, so we're doing French bread pizza. So when I was in the store, in a week's time, the cold meat section went from being fully stocked to having very low supplies, and in many instances some holes. So assuming we maintain electricity, which is a large assumption, because when I was in Iraq, because the electrical grid was in such bad shape from all the fighting, Some places were only getting electricity and some places didn't get any. So let's assume you have electricity and you can keep your freezers and your refrigerators going. I would highly suggest that you load up and keep protein on hand. Buy frozen vegetables, buy rice, buy beans, buy spices, stock up on food. And one of my preps last year, right before Christmas, was I got a Berkey water filter system, and I'm probably sometime soon going to order a couple more sets of filters just to have on hand. So, and I have a second deep freeze being delivered tomorrow that will allow me to have food for a little while. And then, there's been YouTubers talking about China